So in terms of the trades that we ended up making on the day, it was over a net 500% plus profit return. I'm going to be breaking down all the trades towards the end of this video. First things first, let's get straight into tonight's game plan. We are currently setting up for another predictable, lucrative trading opportunity in the market. I'm going to be walking you through the patterns that I'm seeing. I'm going to be walking you through the best levels to possibly be trading the best setups at. Let's get straight into the analysis. So in terms of the price action analysis that I'm seeing on the SPY, these are the patterns that I wanted to point out. As you can see right here, in terms of the SPY, we have this slanted uptrend to the right side. And then you can see right here, we have this slanted uptrend to the right side, quickly drops back down, quickly drops back down. Then it spikes back up and pushes higher. Then it drops back down and it starts to bottom at this previous break and retest level, right? So in terms of this pattern, if history repeats itself and the confirmations are there, one of the opportunities that I'm going to be looking for in terms of call options is going to be right here towards 622. 622 is that break and retest level. And if you look at the pattern that I showed you, you're going to see if the SPY starts to drop back down, it's going to start to start to try to bottom at this break and retest level, right? Basically the middle in terms of from where this bottomed at, the middle in terms of where this bottomed at, right? So I have two break and retest zones. The first zone for calls is going to be 622. Now the second zone for calls is going to be the following. Right around here towards 620. 619.80, very, very key level. Also 600, so 619.80, that's going to be the main key levels. So 619.80 and 622. Those are going to be the two zones. 619.80 and keep an eye on 620.80, this 1 point zone right here. So overall 1 point zone, right? Lower level will be the absolute best. And then keep an eye on the higher level at 622. Those two zones are going to be break and retest zones for calls. So if history repeats itself in a similar cycle, it's going to try to bottom in between 622 to 621. In terms of the absolute best level, it's 620. That's what I'm seeing on overall calls. Market ended up closing at 624.22. Right now, we are currently having a small gap down during the extended hours trading session based off of this overall pattern. And this pattern ended up repeating twice here throughout the past 10 days. This is the overall pattern as well. And what this pattern indicates is it indicates that the SPY is going to drop first, meaning there's going to be an opportunity for puts. And this opportunity for puts is likely going to be occurring during the extended hours trading session, during pre-market trading hours. So for those of you who are trading futures, you can look to do a trade on puts. And if SPY already crashes, then you can also look to do a trade on calls when we hit the oversold levels, if it's towards that level in pre-market, right? So in terms of game plan for puts, there's two game plans. The first one is to keep an eye on 624.22 for a gap close reversal. If SPY is reacting bearish at 624.22, you can look for puts. If we break above that, the next level for puts is going to be all the way up here towards 627. That's the next level. If SPY is a break and retest above 624, reacts to support, then it's going to try to run to 627 as long as we're holding above 624. Now, in terms of this game plan for puts, I gave you some two levels there. But what I wanted to point out is this overall pattern. So look at this pattern right here. You see how the SPY, it's forming like this finger. It forms this finger right here. Then it starts to sell off. It forms this finger right here. Then it starts to sell off. It forms this finger right here. Then it starts to sell off, right? So in terms of where we're supposed to sell off to, the first stop is 622. We should hit 622 without a doubt. Even right now, this is a great opportunity, in this particular situation to be looking to go overall short. We should hit 622. And then, like I said, the bounce zones are 622, 621, and 620. Those are three levels where SPY is going to try to bounce. And what you're looking for is you're looking for a floor. Just look for the SPY to consolidate, to rest, to break out, to retest. Just look for something like this. It's so simple. Once it hits one of the levels, look for the SPY to consolidate, to rest on the 30-minute chart. If it's forming a foundation of support, that's good. Then you can look for a breakout. This is resistance. This is support. It's holding a key level for a long time. That's good. Breaks above the resistance, drops back down to retest, green, red, green. You see that pattern on a break and retest, go long. It's going to keep on uptrending for a strong bullish trend day, right? But just be aware, there's going to be a quick scalp for puts setting up. In terms of profit targets, 622 to 621 is the realistic profit target. In terms of absolute lowest, it's likely going to be 620. But you guys are well aware we're looking for calls at the lower levels, right? So just be aware in terms of how this pattern is setting up. Again, it looks like something like this, where we have this sharp uptrend, drop back down, push a little bit higher, then we sell off after forming this finger pattern right here. It forms a finger, then it sells off, then it bombs at a break and retest level, right? And then a very, very similar pattern right here, where SPY forms this finger again, and then it starts to sell back off even lower, right? So want you to be aware of that. This has been occurring a lot within the market recently. Many similar trends where it has this rip up, drops back down, spikes higher, sells back off, forms higher support, then it goes super bullish, right? Has this overall move right here. You can even compare this right here. Look at this overall 30-minute chart, and then look at this overall 30-minute chart, and then within time it bottoms towards lower levels, 620, 618.50, 619, all fucking phenomenal levels to be buying calls. So the most likely outcome is we drop first towards the 624 to 623, right? And then from there, we're looking for bullish reversals, the absolute highest level. So be careful at this level because we could go further down. Absolute highest level is 622. Be careful because it's likely going to try to go below that. But if you're seeing the confirmations, go for the calls. 621 to 620, 619, best fucking levels to go long within the middle of that overall zone. 619 to 620, absolute best, right? Basically, market is setting up for a move where we drop first at the overall range that we're in right now, in between 624 to 623. We drop first, then an oversold dip buying opportunity sets up to go long using a trend reversal strategy, using a break and retest strategy to continue to capture that overall trend reversal, right? And then a strong overall bullish day. That is the most likely outcome. The most likely outcome is a drop and then a reversal and then an overall strong bullish closing day. So I walked you through the patterns. I walked you through the levels. I walked you through the most likely outcome is. Now, in terms of just price action in ladders, like I said, this level right here, this break and retest level, when this is tested during normal trend, this 620.50, 619.80, 619, all phenomenal levels to be going long, to be buying calls, right? So, just to walk you through a quick price action ladder, just to understand in terms of the price action ladder, if price action reacts bullish, goes up to the next level. If price action reacts bearish, goes down to the next level. So in terms of the overall ladder that I have for you here, is going to be 618, 619.50 to 80, right? That overall small 30-cent zone there. And then 621, 622, 624.22 gap close reversal level. Above that, 627. That is the main ladder that you're going to need heading into tomorrow. And just understand, I walked you through the patterns. I walked you through confirmations to look for. I walked you through most likely outcomes. But you need to be aware of the overall price ladder and just understanding in terms of price action, if one of the levels reacts bearish, it goes down to the next level. If one of the levels reacts bullish, it goes up to the next level. Based off of what I'm seeing, the most likely outcome is we drop first from current levels. Then we hit a reversal point at one of the levels, use confirmations to confirm the bottom. Once you identify the bottom confirmation, you could try to go long, or you can just wait for it to already reverse and use break and retest, or you can do both. You could try to get in on the reversal, right? And just hold the play. If it comes, say you don't get into the best level, it's going to try to come back to life because SPY is supposed to close strong. But even if it doesn't work out that way, you can look for a break and retest opportunity later on throughout the day. But just hold the overall trades. Most likely outcome is a drop first, quick opportunity for puts, then an overall bullish recovery, right? So in terms of the most likely outcome, if you go short, right? You take a short position and then you bank going short. If you decide to go long using the strategies, then the most you risk is 25 to 50% of your gains. You should already be green in a sense, right? And if the trade doesn't work out, you could wait for a reversal confirmation. You could wait for a break and retest confirmation. Just don't risk 25 to 50% of your overall gains if you choose to keep on trading after that. So those are the most likely outcomes that I'm seeing: a drop, a bullish recovery. Use the confirmations. Just go back throughout the past 20-day, 30-minute chart on the SPY and just study every single time, especially with these similar patterns, right? The similar patterns that I'm seeing, how it bottomed right here towards, on July 10th, this bottom right here, how it bottomed right here on July 11th, right? Just look at similar patterns and use the market, use these 30-minute candlesticks as a mirror and trade the reflection. Just mirror the market. If you're seeing that a similar mirror, a similar reflection is occurring, then capture it in real time, right? So just literally go back and study how we've been bottoming recently when we hit a key level, and I gave it a key levels where it's likely going to try to reverse, right? Once we're consolidating, look for a break, look for a retest, get in on fucking calls. That's the safest way to do it. If you want to go the more, riskier route in terms of, not having the highest win rate, or in terms of relying on it to just have an overall strong bullish trend reversal, then you could just get in as it's falling, but wait for some sort of confirmation that it looks like it's reversing. Instead of like a break and retest, you just get in because it's consolidating, it's forming bullish dojis, green, red, green, bullish trend reversal, 30-minute candlestick confirmations. You might be able to get in at the best price doing that. But if not, then you're going to be stuck holding a falling knife. But if the overall trend flips to bullish, you're still going to be green because the trade is still going to go into the money within the close, right? And based on what the most likely outcome is, supposed to drop and then have an overall bullish recovery. Doesn't mean that's going to happen, right? But just giving you some trade ideas. And like I said, the safest way to do it, just wait for a bottom, wait for a breakout above resistance, wait for a drop back down, break and retest, or you can do both. Me personally, I look to do both. But yeah, it could be a lot safer and easier in a lot of situations to just wait for the break and retest once it's already shown signs of a trend reversal and bottom. So those are the most likely outcomes. In terms of the SPY, right now we're gapping down. Now, if we do have a massive gap up and we're going to like 626 to 627, that's going to shift things, and we could look for a loan opportunity at 624. It's unlikely that's going to happen though, but we'll see. But like I said, the most likely outcome is we just have this bearish drop and then a bullish recovery. Just in terms of that bullish recovery, like I said, you look for a quick opportunity on puts first if we're towards those levels and it's reacting bearish. And then in terms of this bullish recovery, just be patient. Wait for a floor to form at either 622, 621, 620, 619, in between that overall range. Wait for some consolidation. Wait for a floor to form. Consolidation 1 to 2 hours, green, red, green towards one of the levels, and if it's towards a lower level, the lower the fucking better in terms of trying to capture that trend reversal. The lower the level, the better. But if you're getting the perfect confirmation, then it's not going to matter in a sense, but just understand, based off of what I've seen on this daily chart pattern, the absolute best level for calls would be right around this 620, 50, 620 to 621 would genuinely be one of the best zones for calls. You can call the average of that like 620.50. And then if you wanted a great fucking average, 619.50 to 620.50. In between that fucking range, that's like absolute bottom range. But based off of what I'm seeing, 620.50 is a fucking amazing level to be going long heading into tomorrow. So that's the game plan. Make sure you're using the 30-minute candlestick confirmations. Be patient. Take advantage of those two trading opportunities. I've laid out two opportunities, one to go short, one to go long. So focus on the short play first if we're towards levels with bearish confirmations. Then focus on the long play. In terms of the long play, you got the trend reversal trying to get in towards the bottom, right? And you can look to hold that. You don't have to get in towards the exact bottom because even if it continues to fall, we could have a bullish recovery. So you don't have to time it perfectly if you play that. And then in terms of the second trade idea, more safe, the break and retest, just wait for SPY to bottom, then it breaks above resistance, drops back down to retest, go long that particular situation. So those are the three main trade ideas. Use the 30-minute chart as your guide with the levels heading into tomorrow. You should absolutely crush it. I'm telling you, with this most likely outcome, when we start to sell, if we start to sell off, there should be a phenomenal opportunity to buy calls for a potential strong bullish close. That's the most likely outcome, but just understand at the end of the day, most likely outcomes and patterns aren't going to work and repeat all the time. So you need to use the levels and you need to use confirmations and you need to understand that I've given you the price ladder. I've explained to you strategies to use at the price ladder. I explained to you most likely outcomes at the price ladder. But you need to understand, if markets are acting bullish at one of the levels, it's going to try to spike to the next level. If markets are acting bearish at one of the levels, then it's going to try to drop down to the next level. It gets far more advanced than this. This is just some of the basics. But with that being said, if you use this game plan, you should be fucking green, man. Because I'm telling you, if SPY gaps down, it's going to try to explode up to fill that fucking gap. That's what it's going to try to do, man. If SPY is gapping down, it's going to try to reverse at one of the levels I've given you, and then it's going to start to fill that gap. So play a break and retest and a gap close reversal. You know, there's key break and retest level right here that was not tested at 622. Resistance, had a breakout, hasn't retested yet, right? There's key support right here towards 620 to 621. And then, like I said, I've went back throughout the daily chart, and based off of what I'm seeing with this overall pattern, the SPY, if it gaps down, it's going to try to bottom, and then it's going to try to spike and have a bullish recovery. I'm telling you, this level right here, this overall zone, is a phenomenal zone to be going long in between this zone. This is a killer level right here. But based off of what I was seeing on this daily chart pattern, the SPY is going to try to bottom towards right around this zone, towards that like lower, towards the low, towards the upper low, towards the upper previous lows of the day, towards this like 620.50 level. And I explained to you the other levels, man. That's what I've seen throughout the daily chart. Only thing that can change that, really, main thing that can change that is if we just had a gap up and then we drop back down to previous closing price. If that reacts support, then I would look for calls at the higher fucking level, right? So that's the overall game plan. Use this information. You're going to be green and you're going to be printing at the speed of fucking light heading into tomorrow, man. I'm telling you, use this game plan, you're going to absolutely crush it. You should be green. So in terms of overall trades, let's get into the trades that we ended up making on the day. You guys are well aware, inside of Team Roar, every single day, you gain access to a real-time zero-date options trade alert system. You gain access to key levels posted in the pre-market, where to be going long, where to be going short, right? Updated key level game plans. And you also get access to a real-time zero-date options trade alert system. You can plug in the key levels into your Thinkorswim charts, right? And you also get access to our secured private network and community, where you can trade alongside multimillionaires. You can trade alongside experienced traders who have over a decade of trading experience, and also, surround yourself with hundreds of traders who've been with us for years inside of Team Roar, right? So in terms of overall trades, let's take a look. First trade on the day, 9:49 a.m. We ended up getting in on 620 SPY puts for 36 cents a contract at 9:49 a.m. And then we ended up adding to the winner in terms of our real-time zero-date options trade alert system. What we do is we add to winners, not to losers. So when we win, we tend to win big, which means 100% plus, multiple 100% plus. Every single week we have a trade where we make over 1,000% plus. So when we're up a little bit, 5, 10, 20%, for us, that's small amounts percentage, because we're known for making the biggest percentage gains in the market. When we're up a little bit, what we do is we don't sell, we fucking add. We add, and then when we add, we double to triple the gains by double to tripling the position size. And the way we protect that position is by setting a profit stop. If you set a profit stop, it's impossible to go green to red. So that's what we do in terms of our overall system, and we move the profit stop up higher when we're up, like 10, 20% plus, we'll set a profit stop, and we move it up higher to ensure if the market has a big move against our trade, we get profit stopped out where we moved it to, not where we set it to originally. That way we don't get back the bulk of our gains. So with that being said, 620 SPY puts for 36 cents a contract at 9:49 a.m. You go to 9:49 a.m. and you are going to see this is where we ended up getting in on these puts. We got in on puts right here, and then we added to the puts right here, right? Literally towards the exact lows on the day. And then the trade quickly went to 57 cents a contract. So 36 cents, adding at 40 cents to 57 cents a contract is fucking phenomenal. From our original entry of 36 cents, we're talking like 70% return there, right? And then even later on, the trade dropped lower, went all the way down to 15 cents, came back to life, went back to 60 cents, dropped back down to 15 cents, then it went all the way to 265 cents. You're going to see this happen all the time. When we enter a trade and we're up 50%, 100%, it can go straight back to zero and even lower. It can go to worthless, like 10 cents below. and then it comes back to life and pushes even higher because we're trading the overall trend. In terms of last night's game plan, it was clear as long as the market is staying below 624, then the game plan was going to be focused on, in terms of the safety of the game plan, it was to focus on puts if the market was staying below 624. And right out the gate, SPY had support at 623.36. It had a triple top at 624, and then it had a massive sell-off all the way down to 622, and then it formed a red, green, red, which is a bearish pattern. And look at the lower highs. Lower high right here at previous support. This is the breakdown. This is the retest. This is the red, green, red bearish pattern. That's the massive sell-off, right? So last night's game plan in that sense did indicate reasons to be buying puts as long as we're maintaining below 624. If you were playing it safe, there was no reason for calls if we're maintaining below 624. So we had 620 puts, 36 cents, added, doubled the position size, right? 43 cents, went to 58 cents. That's fucking phenomenal. Everyone's, profit stopped out above 50 cents plus in that range, right? And then if you held some runners like we tend to do, you could have been selling in the 100 to 200 cent range. So after that, at 11:17 a.m., and on that trade, you're more than green enough to walk away. The first morning trade, you're green enough to walk away. Phenomenal return. You would have made 50% plus on that, and you doubled the gains by doubling the position size, right? Fucking phenomenal. Puts went up 23 cents plus. In terms of the next trade, you're green enough to walk away. If you choose to take it, the most you risk is 25 to 50% of your gains. 618 SPY puts for 33 cents a contract at 11:17 a.m. So you go to 11:17 a.m. and you go to these 618 SPY puts, you're going to see this is where we ended up getting in. We got in right here on this particular trade. Look at this. We got in at the perfect time, just like the last one. 11:17 a.m. You go to 11:17 a.m. This is where we got in on 618 puts. We got in right here. You had 2 minutes to get in before the puts instantly went up 100% plus. This is where we got in. 2 minutes later, they went up 100% plus. 3 minutes after that, they went up 200% plus. And then later on throughout the day, they went all the way to 150 a contract. So in terms of this trade, 618 SPY puts for 33 cents a contract, adding to the winners at 44 cents, adding to the winners, doubling the position size just like the last trade. And then at the speed of fucking light, we're selling at 97 cents a contract. Sold at 11:22 a.m. 11:22 a.m. sold. So you go to 11:22 a.m., you're going to see right here, this was us getting out the exact peak, and this was the biggest volume spike. So look at these volume spikes. This is where we're getting in. This is where we're adding. Massive volume spikes, massive volume spikes. This is where we're selling. We sold the exact peak when we were up 200% plus. Look, set profit stops, 11:22 a.m., sold at 11:22 a.m. Where else are you going to find trades like this? Where are you going to find a system where you win nonstop and you add to winners to double to triple the gains and you set profit stops to ensure if the market quickly drops back down to our initial entry like it did? Look, it took a couple minutes to go from 30 to 90, and then a couple minutes later it went straight back to 30. But look, set profit stops, 11:22 a.m. Sold, 11:22 a.m. This is us at the peak of this volume, of this spike, and then right after we fucking sell, a minute later, it fucking goes to 50 cents, and then a couple minutes later, it drops straight back to 30 cents, then it pushes higher. That happens all the time within the market when you trade the trend. When you trade zero dates, you can quickly make 100%, 200% plus, and then they could drop straight back down to your entry and go even lower. And then within time, if you're right about the trend, they can push even higher. It's fucking insane, man. This happens all the fucking time. So with that being said, losing remains a personal choice. When you have two massive wins on the day, or if you take those net collective gains, that's a 250% return on our first two trades. And we doubled the position size on each one of those trades. How the fuck can anyone be red? With that being said, in terms of the next overall trade, you guys are more than green enough to walk away if you choose to keep on trading. But in terms of the next trade, 6270 SPX calls for 80 cents a contract, 3:40 p.m. So these are the power hour YOLOs. So you're going to see the main best times to be trading are at market open and power hour. At market open, we trade SPY. At power hour, when SPX is cheap and low risk, we trade SPX past 3:30 p.m., right? So these are the power hour YOLOs. On the power hour YOLOs, what you put in is your max risk per trade. The most you can lose on a trade is what you put in, your max risk per trade. Your R multiple could be 1% of your account, 2% of your account, 3% of your account max ideally, right? These trades are typically under 100 cents a contract. When they hit, it's 300 to 500 cent profit. And when they don't hit, they go to fucking zero, right? And then on the best hits, it's 1,000 to 2,000 plus dollar gain in that situation, right? So it's cheap, low risk, and we have the highest win rate doing this. Literally yesterday, we had 3 losses on SPX. If you watched last night's video, we had 3 losses on SPX, but it didn't even fucking matter because we were already green enough to walk the fuck away. But we still had 3 losses during the power hour trading session, and then we had 2 wins after that, and 2 of the wins were 700% net. That means 3 losses minus 300%, 2 wins 700% plus. Net fucking positive 400% plus with 3 fucking losses and 2 fucking wins. So the win rate doesn't fucking matter at all, but you're going to see it's unlimited fucking winning and unlimited fucking printing. When you have a system within the market with far the money zero-dated options, you're going to see you could be very successful with a win rate as low as 33%. So 6270 SPX calls for 80 cents a contract. 6270 calls, you're going to see right here, this is where we got in. So in terms of this overall trade, 3:40 p.m., we got in right here at 3:40 p.m. The low of this is at 75 cents. The high is 165. Next minute, it goes to 205. We got in literally at 80 cents. At the speed of light, it goes to 205 cents, right? That's a 100% plus profit return. Set profit stops because it can drop back down just as fast as it went up, like it did in this particular situation. So in terms of the next SPX trade, 6260 SPX puts for 85 cents a contract. If you go to 3:50 p.m., you're going to see right here, go to 3:50 p.m., this is where we got in. And in terms of these SPX trades, in terms of this situation, the trade literally happened within the span of 1 to 2 minutes. It's normally not like this, but this is how it ended up happening in terms of going today. But they were still wins. You got to be quick and have your option chains open and ready to execute at market orders. So 6260 SPX puts for 85 cents right here. So in terms of the low was at 42 cents. The high was at 135. We got in between that. And then next minute, it goes to 140, right? So 85 cents to 140, nearly 100% profit return. And then in terms of the final trade, 3:56 p.m., this is where it got fucking amazing, right? So in terms of this trade, 6265 SPX puts for 95 cents a contract at 3:56 p.m. This right here, we got in at the exact lows. Look at this, man. This is where we got in. You see this? 3:56 p.m. 6265 SPX puts for 95 cents a contract. The biggest volume spike. Are you seeing this? Look at the volume spike. That's us. Look at the volume spikes. I'll show you some of the biggest volume spikes on the day. Right here, 900 volume. Right here, we had 1300 volume. Now look, 3:56 p.m. This was us. Look at this. 3:56 p.m. This is the biggest volume spike on SPX 6265 puts for the entire day. Look at the entire fucking day. Look at all the blue fucking spikes. At 3:56 p.m., at the exact fucking lows, this was the biggest fucking spike. The low is 70 cents. The high is 150 cents, right? We got in at 95 cents. So in between that. And then you're going to see 2 minutes later, it goes to 185 cents. Then it goes to 320 cents. Contracts literally closed in the fucking money. They closed at 125. And before they dropped to 125, they went to fucking 320. How the fuck could anyone be fucking red when all we're fucking doing is winning non-fucking stop? 95 cents in the money, 120 cents, 300 cents, 320 cents, 3:59 p.m., 3:59 p.m. at the exact fucking peak, a minute before the fucking close, sell, sell, sell. Literally down to the fucking wire from 100 to 300, selling at the exact fucking peak, man. And that's our fucking team. Look at what our fucking team is doing. Our team is in right here, the biggest volume spike of the day, and then our team is out right here, one of the fourth biggest volume spike on the day, right? And everybody knows when you're up 10, 20% plus, set fucking profit stops because these trades can drop just as fast as they went up. So normally on the SPX trades, they would last a little bit longer. They would go up a lot more. But in terms of the ones that we ended up making today, they were quick. Within the first 1 to 2 minutes, you had to get in super fucking quick, and they played out very, very quick. It's normally not like this, but it's doable if you have the right broker set up to trade farther money zero day options like Schwab, Thinkorswim, and you use hotkeys or you use a stream deck, right? You're wired in, you're plugged in, you have notifications on, and you're ready to print at the speed of fucking light. Every single day, you're going to see on how every single week trading alongside us, where losing is genuinely a personal fucking choice. So those are the trades that we ended up making on the day. In terms of my personal trade that I ended up making on the day, I only made one trade and it was a loss. So I did have a loss on the day, but in terms of all the trades combined collectively, it yields to over a net 500% plus profit return. So we absolutely crushed it once again. With that being said, if you would like to trade alongside us and surround yourself, within our secured private organization, within our network, is the first link down below within the description. You gain access to our community. You gain access to a real-time zero-date options trading alert system. You're going to see it's the best system for zero-date farther money options. And you're also going to see it has we have the highest win rate. We have the best trades within the market that are cheap, low risk, biggest percentage gains. That's what we do. That's what we focus on within the market. So if you would like to trade alongside us, this is the absolute best time to join. Is going to be the first link down below within the description. I will see you guys tomorrow within the chat.